Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be talking about something that I love so much, and you guys may already know if you follow me on Instagram because I did a poll asking what you guys wanted to see for this week's video. I'm going to be talking about some more books, some of my all-time favorite books, and all of these are 5-star reads. I am very excited to show you guys what I like to think are my 5-star reads and my favorite books. Fair warning, I am usually the type of person who gives a book 5 stars when I first get finished with it, but then after sitting with it for a little bit and thinking about it, I go back and I actually change the rating. These are all ones that have survived through that trial period and stayed at 5 stars. So we're going to be talking about all of these books. I have a total of 9 books, I believe, that I'm going to talk about, 2 of which were ebooks on my Kindle, and the rest are physical books. You guys will probably see a good theme going on with a lot of these books. I am a lover of 2 really big categories, romance and thrillers. I try to separate them into the categories that they kind of belong into so that we can keep an overall theme for parts of the video going on. So there's probably 3 different genres we will be talking about, which are thrillers or suspense, rom-coms or just romance books in general, and then the other category is historical fiction. But I also do have one book that didn't go into any of those categories, which is a memoir, so that will be kind of its own. But for the other categories, there are a couple books for each. We're gonna get into it. I also have my Goodreads account pulled up on my laptop right now, so I can remember everything I loved about each one of these books. I feel like it wouldn't be one of my book videos if I didn't talk about my favorite author, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid. Not every single book by her that I've read so far has been a 5-star read, but they all have been very high rating wise. These are 2 that I have rated 5 stars and kept the 5 stars because I just love them so much. We're gonna start off talking about probably one of my all-time favorite books ever. This is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is a book of the month edition hardback version of it. Beautiful, absolutely stunning. What to say about this book? I wish I could feel the way I felt when I finished reading this for the first time. The overall plot for this book is a magazine reporter named Monique is sent to interview a retired actress named Evelyn Hugo and talk about her life story. The main question everybody wants to know is, in her lifetime, she had 7 husbands, and why she did have so many husbands. As the story progresses, Evelyn talks about her life growing up and how she started pretty much from nothing and got through a lot of stuff to get where she was, to be an actress. She became one of the most famous actresses within this universe. She goes through each one of the husbands that she ends up being with and why she married them, why they didn't work out, and eventually she meets another actress on the set for a movie they're both in, and they become good friends, and how Evelyn's life with her husbands sometimes interrupt her friendship with Celia. And the story just goes on and on, talking about her life up until where she is in the present tense, which is retired and a lot older and everything, and she talks about her life story, and she reveals a lot of things about her life that nobody knew, and there's just such good things in this book. I recommend reading it. So good. The second book I am talking about is, again, by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm sure lots and lots of you have heard about it, and the show for Daisy Jones and the Six has been fully released on Amazon Prime. It is so good. It was just so incredible to watch after reading this book. So I definitely recommend watching the show. You don't even have to read the book to watch it and understand it. make sense when you watch it, but I do definitely recommend reading the book too. Daisy Jones and the Six is about main character, Daisy Jones. She is trying to become a famous singer. She's, growing up in LA in the late 60s, and she really wants to make it as a singer. While at the same time that Daisy is doing all of that, a band called The Six is really getting noticed by people and by radio and all that kind of stuff. They're starting to take off, and while they are touring, they meet Daisy Jones and ask her to kind of open for them and sing some songs. She's also going to start featuring on a song and things like that. And eventually she becomes a part of the band. And so after they meet each other and Daisy becomes a part of the band, the book continues on talking about their life together on tour and all the characters and what they're doing up until their final show that they all do together. The entire book is written like an interview. All of the characters in the book are talking in this interview and retelling the story of before Daisy joined the band all the way up until the final show. I love this book. Just like I said for The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I wish I could feel the way I felt when I finished this for the first time. It was just that good to me. I'm going to talk about the one single book, which is the memoir. This is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is a book I read, I believe, when I was either in middle school or early high school, and it is one of my all-time favorite books. Every time I read it, I sob hysterically, and it also is a movie, which I really, really love the movie adaptation of this, and I think it was done really well. It also has Woody Harrelson as like one of the main characters. I think he did a phenomenal job. It is the story of Jeanette Walls. It talks about her growing up with her dad, who, when he was sober, was very creative and charismatic and would teach them so many things, but 99% of the time he was drunk and would be dishonest and just really angry all the time. So growing up, Jeanette and her siblings had to adapt and overcome their parents' lifestyle, and they eventually all moved out and found their way into their own adult lives, but their parents always find their way back into their lives, and it just talks about the struggles of having a very dysfunctional family and having to grow up a little too fast. I just absolutely loved this book. It has always been one of my favorites of all time, so it has a really special place in my heart. Now we are going to get into the romance slash like rom-com type of books. I have a total of 3 books that I'm going to be talking about, 2 physical books and then 1 ebook. So I'm going to quickly talk about the ebook just because I don't have a physical copy to hold up. So the ebook that I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry. Again, another very popular book that a lot of you may already know. Beach Read was my first ever book I read by Emily Henry. So that might be a reason why it's a 5-star and why I chose that one out of all her other books. I still haven't read Book Lovers, and I'm halfway into Happy Place. Between Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation, Beach Read is my 5-star read. So the story for Beach Read follows the 2 main characters, which are Augustus or Gus and January, and both of them are authors. However, they are like polar opposites. January writes romance novels while Augustus writes literary fiction, so they are polar opposites when it comes to that, and they both end up with a case of writer's block, and they come up with a deal. Augustus is going to write a romance novel and January is going to write a literary fiction novel. So they both take each other on trips to get each other in the right headspace about the opposing novels. It was such a fun book to read. I started reading it when the weather started getting warmer, which also really put me in the good mood for like summertime. I do really enjoy Emily Henry's writing style. Another 5-star read. The next romance book that I'm going to talk about is more of a rom-com style book, and that is because it is called Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and this book is quite literally a rom-com put into a book. The main character, Liz, is obsessed with rom-coms and has always had a love for them. That is like what Liz is known for. Her next door neighbor, Wes, has grown up always teasing her, making fun of her, being just a pain all the time to her. But then one day Liz's childhood crush comes back to town, moves back home, and she realizes that she needs him to fall in love with her. But Liz soon finds out that one of Michael's best friends happens to be Wes. So Liz recruits Wes for some help to try and get her way in to getting Michael. And so the story progresses and she realizes she likes spending time with Wes, but she also likes Michael. So she has to come to a lot of decisions and figure out what is best for her and, you know, what is going to lead to her happily ever after. I loved all of the rom-com like references in this book. It has a lot of Taylor Swift references, which I love. If you're just a rom-com lover like me, I highly recommend reading this book. It is so good. Next book I'm going to talk about is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have seen on so many other people's TikToks, YouTubes, everything about how they also put this in their favorites category and as a 5-star read, and I feel like it is worth it. It is a beautifully written story. It has an alternating timeline from the present and the past. It is about the two main characters, Macy and Elliot, and it's about them growing up, like friends to lovers type of story. The characters are both book lovers, so I love reading about type of book lovers. Their relationship was just beautifully told and one of my favorites that I have read, and I just loved it. It was so good. This is just one of my all-time favorites. We are now getting into the thriller slash suspense genre. First book I'm going to talk about is an ebook that I once again read on my Kindle, and that book is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but that is the book. I read it in one sitting. I could not put it down at all. This book is about a woman named Millie who is in desperate need of a job and is hired to be a house cleaner, housekeeper, and believes that she has scored a really good job until she finds out that the wife is very difficult to work for. And the story just progresses, and you know, situations start getting worse and worse, secrets come out. And basically, Millie comes to find out that this job is not what it seems to be, and there are a lot of deeper things happening that she does not quite know about yet. I remember reading this book and I had so many other things that I had to do, but I could not stop reading and I wanted to finish the book, or else I would have been too distracted thinking about what was going to happen in the book the whole time. Loved this book. I devoured it. It was so good. It also does have a sequel called The Housemaid's Secret, which it wasn't a 5-star read for me, but it still was very good, and I think if you are going to read The Housemaid, you should read The Housemaid's Secret. Really enjoyed reading this book. It is probably one of my favorites that I read for this year so far. I am quickly going to talk about the last 2 books because my camera battery once again is going to die, and I'm going to be talking about Holly Jackson. First book I'm going to be talking about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is a 3-part series, but this is the first book from the series. It is probably my all-time favorite book. of the thriller suspense genre. I read this last year and it really got me into reading psychological thriller suspense type of books. I was always a fan of Stephen King growing up. This just brought like a new light to thrillers and suspense books. It follows the story of a girl named Pip who is doing a senior capstone project about a murder that happened within her town. Felt like it was kind of unresolved, and so she is uncovering clues and finding more things out about the case. Then the time that she is finding more and more things, somebody is trying to put a stop to her, and it becomes really suspenseful. Never really know who to trust in the book and who could have done something, and I think it was so well written and just so good. Another book that I just quite literally could not put down. I definitely recommend reading this if you want to get into suspense and thriller type of books. And the last book I'm going to talk about is another Holly Jackson book. This is her newest book that came out late last year. It is called 5 Survive. It is about a group of 6 friends who are on a road trip for spring break, and as they are driving, they run into some difficulties with their car and then find out that there are more difficulties within the area that they are stranded in, and somebody is trying to get to them and has been kind of like stalking them. The reason why is that they're trying to find out a secret that one of the characters is not admitting to, which you don't know who it is until the very end. A lot of secrets come out and a lot of plot twists happen within this book that I did not see coming at all. I thought it was such a crazy read, but I absolutely loved it. Like I said, for all these books, could not put it down. Quite literally, that's how I know it's going to be a favorite. If I cannot put it down, it will automatically be 5 stars that way. 5 star. These books were all 5 out of 5 stars. This isn't the entire list of all of my favorite books and all of my 5-star reads, but these have been either ones I have held onto for a very, very long time as a 5-star read and a favorite book, or they've been my most recent favorites / 5-star reads that I wanted to share with you guys, because I feel like a lot of these books are worth reading, especially if you're trying to get into reading. I feel like a lot of them are quite easy to get into. There's a couple different categories, obviously, so there's a bit to choose from if you don't really know what you're quite into yet. Those were all of my favorite books / my 5-star reads. If your opinion was different, let me know, and let me know why you do or don't agree with me. I love hearing people's thoughts about books and seeing different views, so please let me know if you do or don't agree with me on any of these books, and let me know what your most favorite book is of all time, because I love finding new books to read. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this content, please like this video and subscribe. I post weekly, and I will see you all next time.